Today's recipe, we're going to use some of that Jamaican Callaloo. Again, every time I say Jamaican Callaloo, I need to clarify that in Trinidad and Tobago, we call this chorai bhaji. So I'm going to use some of this chorai bhaji or Jamaican Callaloo. Some people even call it spinach. We're going to grab some of that. And what I also want is a tomato. So I think we got some tomato down inside there. And I'm going to grab a couple of these pimento peppers from here for additional flavor. And maybe a habanero if you zoom in. To spice it up just a little bit. Yeah. And what I'm doing, and I have more Jamaican Callaloo back here. Actually, I may pick this one because it's going to seed. And when you trim it back, more leaves develop. So I may use this bunch here rather than the one that's more tender over there. I've got a tablespoon and a half of olive oil on a medium flame. Now, if you wanted to use coconut oil, you can certainly rock that coconut oil. I am not the biggest fan of coconut oil because growing up, coconut oil was our moisturizer. It went into our hair, on our legs, on our arms and all that. So my kind of PTSD is coconut oil on my skin. Anyhow, onion, garlic, yeah? Scotch bonnet, half of that habanero pepper and one pimento pepper. If you don't want the heat, you don't have to use that habanero pepper. I'm just going to turn the heat slightly down. The pimento pepper will give it the flavor of a Scotch bonnet without any heat. Now, we did speak about this many times before. The odd time that pimento or seasoning pepper may have a bit of heat, depending on how close they're planted to spicy pepper, because then they can cross-pollinate. But for the most part, you get that wicked flavor. I use habanero, but you can use Scotch bonnet, fatali, jalapeno, whatever spicy pepper you like, providing you like it spicy. Just gonna hit that a mix just to make sure. I know people are already complaining Chris using a metal spoon, but small things. My pot is my show. Everything here belongs to me, so use a wooden spoon, ladies and gentlemen. If that's what you're comfortable with, go ahead and rock that. I'm just going to turn my heat down just a little bit more to sort of a medium-low, closer to the low side. I just want this to flavor that oil and pull out all those lovely flavors. If you wanted to put some fresh thyme in here, you can add some thyme, or as a matter of fact, any herb that you like. And what I went ahead and did was prepare the Jamaican Callaloo. Again, I'm going to say it one more time. We also call this spinach or chorai bhaji in Trinidad and Tobago and the rest of the Caribbean. And I only use the leaves. I gave it a good wash and I chop them up, but you can use the stems as well. What I also have is just some everyday North American spinach, and that is about 1 pound. And this is about about 1 pound as well. So 2 pounds, but it's going to wilt down quite a bit. Some fresh ground black pepper in there. If you don't have fresh ground, well, I'm going to say use what you got. This full recipe will be posted, and you will see similarities with this one and others that I've shared with, bhaji. Anything green like this, I consider it to be bhaji. There's several versions of this on CaribbeanPot.com, so head over there. Just gonna hit that one more quick stir. It's nice and soft now. You can get all that flavor from the onion, the peppers, the garlic, and the kitchen is smelling lovely. Here's where we're gonna start adding both versions of the spinach. And it's still wet, so that sort of steam that's going to create there is good for us. We will still need to add some water though, but not too much. Now, it will look like a lot, but I assure you this is going to wilt down. And we still got the regular everyday spinach. And it's just baby spinach that I picked up, I think what it was at the Costco, I think it was. Now, if you want to do this dish with just baby spinach, that's all you have access to in North America, Europe, or wherever you are, you can certainly use just plain old spinach. And I mean to say, if you head over again, I'm going to repeat it, you head over to CaribbeanPot.com. I've got versions with pak choy or bok choy in there. I've got versions with kale, with all these different ingredients. Swiss chard. Swiss chard works great in this as well. And this is, man, it's one of them packed, not just flavor, but minerals and vitamins and all that. vegan or vegetarian dish, and you can't go wrong because it is tasty at the same time. Before I add more spinach, I'm going to go in with a little sprinkling of salt just to have layers on there, and I'm going to put my lid on, let that wilt down, and then I'll add the other spinach, which has been washed. Yes, even though it came out of a package, you still need to wash it and run it through one of those salad spinners to get that liquid out of it. To help it create even more steam, I'm going to go in with a bit of water. Not too much, because the spinach itself will let out quite a bit of liquid. And here's where I'm also going to add a flavoring ingredient, which is courtesy of a couple tablespoons of coconut cream. And it's, if you head to your West Indian grocery store, your Latino grocery store, your Asian grocery store, and most regular everyday grocery stores carry coconut cream. Now, if you don't have coconut cream and you wanted to use about 3/4 cups of coconut milk, yeah, that works as well. So I'm going to turn my heat up. I want that water to start boiling at the bottom there. This is going to start reducing. And the reason for putting coconut milk now is because, again, we're layering the flavors, because what happens sometimes with these leaves, they tend to sit on each other, and once they go flat, it's hard to get all that flavor inside there. Yeah, it will wilt down. Yo, by the way, it's not the most pretty looking dish, but I'm telling you, boy, it is proper. And speaking about layers, here is that tomato from the garden, and that's going to bring a sweetness along with a bit of acidity. And when we're cooking, we're always looking for that balance in flavor. So the coconut milk will also have a bit of a sweetness, but we need the acidity from that tomato, and it brightens up the dish a bit. Now, if you wanted to finish with the tomato instead, you can do that. I just like the flavor of the tomato, you know, throughout the whole cooking process. It's important that the coconut milk melts down in there. So I wanted to kind of tuck him down into that liquid, and notice how it wilted down there already, right? We're gonna bring the bottom flavors to the top, which was the garlic, the pimento, the habanero, the black pepper. All those things are coming to the top. It's gonna create a bit of space in the bottom there for that coconut cream to sort of melt and do its thing. Because after all, we need all of the flavors to make its way through everything. This time we can start adding the everyday spinach that you would get in your regular grocery store in here. And I didn't chop it up or anything, but if you wanted to give it a rough chop, you can do that. And again, it's going to pile on, but I guarantee you it will all wilt. So if you're thinking, well, Uncle Chris, you needed a bigger pot, stay tuned, you'll see what I'm talking about. So here's a prime example of what I mean. Notice how tall it was with the lid on. Everything started cooking down. So what we want to do now is give that a good mix. Just to, again, the whole idea is to folding. And you notice the layers I was talking about? The way it compresses together, like look at that. So this is why I seasoned it and I added those flavors in between. I'm just going to top it up now. I'm just going to work that coconut milk in a bit more. I'm going to top it up now with the rest of the spinach, and I got to remember that the lid on this thing gets hot. If you notice, I almost, listen, my hand too pretty to burn, boy. I ain't trying to scarf this thing of beauty here. Anyhow, this is where we at, but before we proceed, a bit more salt, yeah? And I hope you guys notice how much liquid generated on its own. I mean to say, yeah, we added about half cup of water, but you can see how much more liquid sprouted up. What we can do here now is leave the lid off, because I'm going to burn off all of that water. I want to condense and concentrate all the flavor of all that spinach that we added in there. It's been about 15 minutes, and you can see I'm still trying to burn off all that liquid. Now, here's the thing. If you want an original Jamaican Callaloo recipe, head over to CaribbeanPot.com. You will have it there. It's not cooked down how you're seeing me cook it down here. I wanted to go further. I want to burn off all that liquid. But for some people, they experience a bit of itch at the back of their throat when they mess with the Jamaican Callaloo or spinach or any sort of greens. And what I like doing is, at this point, as those flavors are coming together, I like to go in with about a tablespoon or so of fresh lemon juice, and that tends to help that sort of itch you get to the back of your throat. Just gonna hit that one more quick stir, and you can see all of that liquid is drying up. And I want to get back to the oils, and I learned this trick from Mommy. Mommy will cook this down dry, and in doing so, I'm telling you, the flavor it will take on is unbelievable. Yeah, it's not a pretty dish, but like so many things, It doesn't have to be overly pretty to be incredibly delicious. Alright? If you listen closely, you will hear a different sort of sizzle going on there, which means, and that tells me most if not all of that liquid is gone. And so let's check and see. Notice? So what I'm going to do is give this about 3 more minutes. It's been cooking for about 30 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes. Yeah? Taste it for salt at this point, adjust the salt, but I really want to get back to the oil, so I'm going to sign off here. And you gotta head over to CaribbeanPot.com. As I said, over there the recipe will be there. I'm just going to try and spread it out so we have got a wider cooking surface to burn off all of that. And while you're there, you can check out the other videos I have in relation to Jamaican callaloo, spinach, Swiss chard, dasheen bush bhaji, all those different things, pak choy, all those different things are on CaribbeanPot.com. And like I said, the traditional way, the Jamaican way of cooking it with as a breakfast dish with saltfish is also on there. So keep the heat, because Uncle Chris just dropping all kind of traditional, non-traditional, the non-traditional is a little fusion something. Anyhow, I'll go on 2 more minutes and I'm going to shut off the stove. You're looking for some roti to eat with this, and it goes good with rice as well too, dumpling and stuff like that. But the point is, you have options over at CaribbeanPot.com. Alright, I'll go on.